What is up, my cutouts cardboard? With part 3 of the developer blog. Coming at you from my new place in a entirely different state. I moved hell, high water, heaven and earth, get here. And, well, let's see if it was worth it. So, let's take a look at the new devlog. Looks as though there will be a new melee weapon. I believe that it's legendary. It looks similar to the buzzsaw because it's a legendary buzzsaw. This thing is, it didn't give us the durability, but they said it was going to be low, but that doesn't really matter. What is important is what the perk is. Apparently, when you're behind your opponent, so this is a weapon for Yuki, because for those of us who are familiar with the co-driver Yuki, she gives you a 15% damage bonus as long as you are behind your opponent. As long as you are behind an opponent, the buzzsaws will increase their blade distance. And after you leave from behind the behind of your opponent, behind the butt of your opponent, after you leave that, the blade will of course shrink back down, but it won't do it immediately. So that will give you a increased hurt box for your melee weapon. Pretty cool looking. Don's Children melee, and it's basically the buzzsaw, except it's a legendary version. Um, I don't know how I feel about that necessarily because the overall idea is that it would have to be very strong for it to be a competitive weapon. The reason why people use the harvesters is because of the fact that it's got a massive strike zone, and that massive strike zone can be placed vertically, as most people are aware, so that you can cut hovers out of the air. While this can have a larger strike zone than what it would normally appear, assuming that this is 4 across, that would mean the strike zone probably goes from 4 to 8, or 4 to 6 most likely. That's still not going to be enough, especially seeing as the only way you can get access to that is via being behind your opponent. Also, while this will have an increased strike zone, meaning it will hit more parts, the damage goes down. So we've got another weapon out there whose damage goes down when the perk activates. The other one, of course, being the what was that thing called? Not the jewel, not the no thung, the gun that comes before the no thung that I can't be bothered to remember, that actually reduces damage by 15% as you fire it and hold down the mouse button. Anyway, continue on. New structural parts. It's a mounting bracket, which is good. It's going to let a little bit of damage through, which is fine. I actually like that. I think it's a cool looking part. And finally, a new relic. This is not going to be available in the battle pass, but it is coming with the patch nevertheless. And this new relic, the Helicon, is basically a waltz combined with a cricket. So for those of us who don't know, the waltz, it basically takes all the good parts of both and none of the bad parts of either. That's the interesting thing. So let's just go over the good parts of the cricket. As you know, the cricket fires 5 rockets, whereas this will fire 3. And the damage that the cricket will deal increases 100% or so for every 100 meters between you and the target, something like that. Basically, the further away your target, the more damage you deal, and if you're across the map and you land some cricket shots, you'll blast someone's build in half. The waltz fires 3 shots in succession. Each shot after the first deals more damage and has more impulse than the first. So basically, you really want to hit with a 3rd rocket on the waltz. And also, for those of us who don't know, the waltz fires rockets and they spin around and they're very difficult to use. So, when I say the Helicon is basically a combination of the waltz and the cricket, but I'm taking only the best parts, I mean that. So, first, it takes the waltz's 3 tri-barrel approach, but then in addition to the tri-barrel approach, each rocket does something different. The first one is going to be an armor-piercing shot, so I'm going to assume it's going to work something like the Scorpion or something like that, where it's going to pierce through, components and hit things in a line. It doesn't say it's explosive; it says it's armor-piercing. The second is incendiary, which means that heating. Hooray, as everyone loves heating in the game. There's not enough weapons that heat. And the third rocket is just straight up explosive. And it's a relic. So, other than that, instead of the projectiles spinning around kind of all wobbly, they will be straight projectiles. According to them. It's just flat ballistic trajectory, which is exactly like the cricket. And comes with another perk. Remember, it fires 3 different rockets, but it does have its own relic perk. And this perk is the longer that the rocket is in flight, the better their characteristics become, meaning damage, impulse, and blast radius increases. There you go. So, but it appears that unlike the cricket, which scales infinitely, meaning that You can hit someone at 300 meters, 400 meters, or even 500 meters, and the damage bonus is off the chart. This will max out at only 1/2 of 1 second of flight. So it means that you don't actually want to be close with this weapon. You want to be at mid-long range to get maximum, maximum value. Interesting relic. Can't wait to see it in action. But yeah, that's Dev Vlog Part 3. I'm interested. Not overly interested in the relic because I'm certainly not going to be able to afford one. I bet uranium prices are suddenly skyrocketing because we don't know what goes into buying it, or making it. But one of those parts is most likely going to be uranium. Mounting bracket is going to be sweet. I don't know. I just love structural parts, and Dawn Children always has some of the sweetest looking structural parts. I'm kind of disappointed with the Charbitus, only because of the fact that the Buzzsaw itself is not a very good melee weapon. It actually is worse than the Borer, only because of the fact that its power score puts it out of sight of the bracket where people don't have bumpers. And so since everyone's covered in bumpers, by the time you get to the Buzzsaw, it just falls off, right? The Charbitus will be similar because of the fact that its hurt box is similar. And of course, everyone's going to have bumpers. I just don't see how it's going to compete directly with the Harvester, as the Harvester is designed specifically to eat up hovers, and I don't see this eating up hovers very well. Especially seeing as the way to activate the perk is to get behind your opponent, and I mean, obviously, people with melee are going to try and attack someone from an odd angle. Usually, it's a side, not from behind. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. That's all I got for you guys. Peace.